As a knowledge seeker, I'm here.
Okay, very well.
It's sorry about that.
And welcome. I hope you're enjoying this trip.
Yeah, I just came to listen. Got a lot of things getting prepared for tomorrow. While getting prepared, I just thought I'll pop in.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're just discussing our landing point, this beautiful Earth space, and trying to understand our relationship with this Earth space, because our Earth space is different. Our Earth space is a gravitational point. Because
there is a very big misunderstanding in a lot of the setup, or I always allow things to happen. But when it comes to the actual landing and taking off from Earth or anywhere else, will bring a new understanding to the technology, how you land and how you convert things into matter state.
Well, I hope so, because all we have right now is rockets, and they cause a lot of damage.
What we've seen in the tests is very much confirms our principle work, and it just comes into light. I mean, once we start teaching or landing a structure, what do you call it? It's a big difference when you come to doing actual flights, and then what is in theory work. It's a very big difference. You have to turn everything upside down to understand the totality of the knowledge about landing and entering. We see it now with the enhancement units. Especially the new enhancement units has brought up a lot of confirmation of the correctness of the technology.
I see someone's come in as a Zoom user guest. Do you want to announce yourself to us? Is it someone we know? Excuse me, Mr. Keshe.
Yes, they have to introduce who are they? Who was a Zoom user? Disappeared.
Okay, well, the word is getting around that you must be here. Someone must have.
He's still there. Zoom user is still there, but who is it?
Could you tell us who you are, Mr. Zoom user or Mrs. Zoom user?
Hi, my name is Dr. My name is Dr. Perez. I was invited by Dr. Olivero.
Okay.
Thank you.
Where are you from? Brazil?
No, I'm in New York.
In New York. Oh, okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sorry about that, Alex. Jumped in. I just came here to be just to listen while we are testing in 2 locations.
So I think everybody understands, Mr. Keshe, that I'm at an extreme disadvantage in terms of these classes, because I am, just like all knowledge seekers, anxious to go into the next level. And I really appreciate you coming here and standing by. And
we are at the moment testing in both in Austria and Iran. live test is going on at the moment, so I just had time to pop out while the setting up and resetting the structural testing. And that's why I popped in, and then I popped out because I had to go back to test live, and now they're resetting. But it's primarily about what you heard, or what we posted. And tomorrow we go live on a blueprint. It'll be two, what do you call it, blueprint sessions, one tomorrow and one Thursday. Tomorrow is from Tehran, and Thursday will be from Austrian side, showing the technology. And a breakthrough in technology is a major work, but we have to set it up because it had to be shown, and the implications of it, especially to the Western Europe. That's why we brought this very rapidly, the presentations of tomorrow as a blueprint. Europe is running into massive crisis. And even for the West to understand and implement it takes about a year to 2 years, but what can be prevented rapidly is what is on the table. We'll explain everything in tomorrow's, what do you call it, 3 to 6 or 7 hours of presentation from Tehran, and then on Thursday.
Mr. Keshe, we showed the 2 refrigerator demonstration from Iran, and you said an American, a wealthy American scientist, or I don't know if he was a knowledge seeker. Is he a backer? But it seems like
No, it is not the backer. These are the people who hang around the Keshe Foundation for a long time, and they're set up by different part of organizations. Now we open the test tomorrow to public, but the main work of tomorrow is not plasma. This is a demonstration of the plasma enhancement unit. The main purpose of tomorrow is the production of gases.
I always thought it was fantastic when you were setting up the TV groups and you were saying, we're going to create the news. We're not going to follow the news.
Tomorrow we'll see when. I don't want to say much because there's a huge implication in what is going to be shown tomorrow. And it has an implication behind it with what is happening in Western Europe, and with bigger part of other negotiations which are going on. We have to show first before we talk. So tomorrow we show maybe 1 or 2 different ways of producing new gases, but in fact it's what we showed 3-4 years ago for production of the fields to matter state. Now is a conversion of new technology, conversion of the fields into gases, which we never touched. It's a fundamental work, but as a long-term implication that will be discussed tomorrow and in the next coming weeks, where if you understand the whole implication of it, be sure solid matter conversion, we show gas conversion of the fields. So the only thing is left is liquid conversion, which should be done in November, December, or maybe prior to that. But that application is things like petroleum, like diesel fuel and other fuels. And as we said before, and we'll emphasize on it tomorrow, is that let's put it in the other form. At the moment we dig oil out and then refine it. With what we show tomorrow and coming up, you tailor make the fuel you want. You don't need to refine anymore. That puts an end to refining, so we can produce gasoline. We can produce diesel directly. We already know, we already have the know-how how to do it. And this brings a different ballgame into the energy industry. We'll go into detail more of it tomorrow, but we have to show it first. And in showing it, we can deliver the next step after it.
Yes, we had mentioned that earlier about the matter state and cracking oil and all these tanks and systems and steam vents coming out and piping and so on and so forth. We were thinking about that old American, when the boss says, how come you don't have something done? And you say, what do you want me to pull it out of thin air? And Alex was just saying that, pull it out of fat air. But it's just amazing what you've developed over 20 years ago. And have, as you said, could have cashed in for billions and billions, and we would have never seen the light of day of this knowledge. So thank you for your position.
Oh, it's just a matter of doing something with it. And the implication of it is huge. What we show tomorrow has two-head application, and we would like to keep it totally close to the chest till the end of the teaching tomorrow. In the back end of it, we know the American government, high-ranking officials from the embassies are online. Officers, Chancellor of Germany is online. French government officials are online tomorrow. Chinese, the Japanese and the Russians are online tomorrow in the teaching. In the background, they'll be listening to all the disclosures. And I was told that President Biden will be debriefed continuously on what is disclosed, because he has a lot of communication in what he's doing in the Middle East today, but has a massive applications. It changes a little bit, but mainly is we expect, we don't only expect, we see, according to the French and now German high-ranking politicians in the cabinet minister, that they're talking about unrest. You got to understand the unrest, where it comes from. That is, we used to buy, let's say, a kilo of tomato for 99 cents or €1, €1.50. Now is €4 and €5 a kilo this year. Food is reaching beyond the means of people. Energy reaches beyond the reach of people at the moment, and that's a problem. The problem in the West is, especially in Europe, is massive, and it's showing its head, but we have to see how, if it's going to be a cold winter, then secondly, there's not enough fertilizers. The food chain and the energy chain coming together, people can't live. I know people in London and in England who used to have a comfortable life, enough just about. They're talking about going to the shop and just being able to buy what is discounted. They can't afford buying. They cannot buy meat anymore. It's reached beyond their means. And the money which comes that way now has gone into fuel extension increases and heating increases or whatever, electricity increases. And we see it. And I was hearing that parents now are cutting dinner out of, or lunch out of the meal of the house 2 meals a day now is the only thing they can afford. Fuel comes first for them to be able to get to a job, to at least have something. And if interest rates follows the way it is now, people who used to pay 200-300 pounds or euros a month, they have to pay now 300-400. That's another cut. And it forces us to bring the energy in. We have no choice. We have no alternative.
Yes, you did tell us that months ago, that if they were going to use food to create mayhem, that you would release a feeding technology at that time.
We will release the food. You got to realize we are in parity with dollar and euro. And some analysts are talking about 90 cents to a dollar from European cents.
What about these ones?
I don't think that's.
Sorry about that, I closed that.
And this is part of what is to come. We start 10 o'clock tomorrow, and we come from Tehran laboratory, and the factory. It's the first time we open it to be seen partially by public. And that's where the first energy enhancement units will be coming out.
You
Well,
said this. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
The priority for us is the gas conversion units, which has come out. The new gas conversion, hydrogen, and hopefully methane. They are the cornerstones of what we want to bring out. Hydrogen is the most important one. But hydrogen, once is shown by the Iran laboratory, and being in Iran changes a lot of game in other sides, which we're keeping out of, but its implications of it is huge.
We had showed this earlier. One of the airlines here in the United States are bringing this jet for testing now in the United States. It's AR-72-600 with a hydrogen retrofit. Of course, they'll be filling up cylinders and putting them in using the luggage cargo handling system, but I thought it would be quite workable to put the energy gas unit retrofitted. And I know you're talking about totally different ways of moving, but as you indicated with NASA, that they would, there may be a 2-track, let them fly with the rockets, and we'll use our method of travel. So the planes may still be around for a bit of time, but I thought it was very nice. They were saying that this is the true zero emissions, only emitting water as a byproduct of the hydrogen. And since you're adept at creating helium, hydrogen, and other gases, it seems like a natural fit.
We have no choice. I mean, there is no choice left. We are facing. You don't see it, but it's very simple. If you look at what happened in Sri Lanka. In the past 7 days, people just went to the house of the president and the prime minister, and they literally sat there till they go. And would we see the same in the West? And politicians tell us high probability. High probability, but we've seen this very recently in another part of the world where people went into supermarkets and literally ransacked because they wanted food.
Yes, I do remember your warning from several years ago about, you know, Africa with the food problem. They could easily, you know, catch a wild pig or climb a tree. But in the United States, if worse comes to worse, we could be killing and eating each other, which is, again, we've heard these stories in the past of people getting stranded or stuck and resorting to that. And I don't think we want to go the hard way. It just sounds terrible.
No, but I mean, we won't get to that point. I don't think we'll get to that point, but you got to realize a combination of things are coming to play, which we have ignored. And what you what is, it's a combination. It's, we try not to speak about it, but you got to realize that we're going to have in the West in September, October, another cycle of shutdowns with Corona. It seems to be that way. It's already started in other part. They're talking about it. Then you have the extension on the cost of the heating and food. You have extension on cutting down, as we see in Germany already started. In some parts, cuts come in, and then you can see what is to come next. There has to be an alternative. There has to be applicable alternative. And I'm sure, 100% sure, we are not the only alternative. And governments have a fear. Governments have a huge fear of what is to come. But as I said in the very recent talks, the Europeans and the Western world is paying for their own, what do you call it? Their own conduct, in a way. When this technology was so openly in the hand, and they went to back a, what I call, government who is embroiled in all sorts of misconduct. Now they pay for it. And it's to the benefit of those who made it. But Europeans haven't realized what happened to Keshe Foundation in Belgium, and they work with it, has become their own demise. Because if Belgians won't pay the stupid game they did, technology would have gone on the track was going and is going, it would have been accepted as a technology and wouldn't have this condition. As I said, if I move back to Iran within a month, we will solve a lot of things in a lot of aspects. Technology is very deep, but if I move to Iran, the whole thing will be tumbled in one side. The West will lose heavily, the Americans will pack everything up. I don't go to Iran just to sit and watch the walls. I go to Iran to make Iran a major superpower in technology and in space. Within weeks, will paralyze everything which causes harm to people in every shape or form. because we release technologies which makes everything obsolete. The biggest nightmare of American and Europeans will be when I land in Tehran. And if they play with the technology any more longer, it leaves no option but tomorrow is another chance for the West to save what I call the problems which are going to come. We'll see.
Yes, I often wondered how you said that the people wouldn't accept this technology out of the love for it, but out of the fear of their own demise. I heard that years ago. I don't know how many years ago you said that, but now it's becoming quite clear what you were.
You don't have a choice. You got to be, you know, when I came to England some 40 years ago, we used to spend about 10-15 pounds. We used to buy, even go shopping with trolleys, we used to fill up a trolley. Now you go with 200 pounds or 200 euros, you hardly get anything, half a trolley. And average wage in Europe cannot cover it. It's impossibilities. The gap is growing, and the same Western Europe nations like Austria, we have 7.7% inflation on what? If it's 7.7 inflation, how come the fuel, we used to fuel last June at $1.01, $1.05. Today is $2.10, $2.20, €2.20. 100%. Where is the 7%? There's a lot of figures massaged to not to create a problem. And this is where it sits. With the new gas units, we have to see how we play the game of these gas units. How we bring it, and tomorrow we have major people watching what we deliver.
Yes, we're at least experiencing 8%, and that's when they calculated inflation over here. I understand that they exclude food and energy. So it's got to be up in the high teens or more. As you said, the figures can lie and liars can figure.
No, we don't see a lot of things, and you can't push through fear. You got to push through technology. We have to deliver technology to lay down the fears, but we have the people who got to take it up to bring it to the next stage.
And this is just a first step, as I understand it.
We have no choice. There's so much different, so much problems. It's not our choice. It's not, governments are not left with a choice. If Russian bloc further fuel, they did this week now, they closed last month for 10 days, this month for 10 days, but they don't think they're going to open up before 20 days, 25 days. Maybe they will not close it for a month, open it for a month. The major pipeline into Germany has been shut down. And it's summertime, and it's the worst time to shut down, because summertime is when there is huge drop in the usage of gas, and when the national reserves are filled up for the winter. Now there is no fuel for the winter. People do not understand the implication of what is happening. And when we say there is going to be report, there's going to be unrest, it's going to be unrest. There'll be power cuts, allocation cuts, and or is the technology of Keshe Foundation which covers everything. We extend the energy, you'll see it tomorrow. Number of you have purchased. The generator will be shown for the first time on Thursday in its structure. We're putting the generator at 10,000 euro. And the whole system with the gas and the energy, we're looking at about 20,000 euro for the Keshe Foundation per unit. There's no other way to do it. I've seen people who now start looking at placing orders for 10, 20 units that they buy cheap to sell. We have no problem with it. It works like an agent for us. We have a group who are talking to buy 500 units pre-order with a discount that they sell with 20-30% profit and plus. Because when it comes winter, you need it. You have no fuel. People will pay to have what they can't have. We ask for 20,000 euro per unit for the hydrogen production and power plasma supply. People will pay because you can't live with nowhere nothing.
Can we say the change is coming for good?
Depends how good they will get.
Mm.
It is what, how good, because there is a problem. The biggest problem is, as I said, the West has made the problem for themselves. And nobody's enjoying it more than the Russians and the Americans. Americans are blaming the Russians going to Ukraine, but Americans making a fortune out of this situation.
When you say the West, you're not just talking Western Europe, you're including the United, I noticed you mentioned Italy and France and Germany and so on. But when you say the West, you're including the United States.
Yes, it'll be detrimental to United States. And the biggest problem you have in US is not just oil. And the problem you have in the West is other application of technology. It's the biggest nightmare for United States if things turn up the other way around. Just 1 second, please.
He indicated he was overseeing a couple of tests in Iran and in Austria, I believe, at this moment. So we're fortunate to have him commenting here for a few moments. But please, everyone, come in to the meeting tomorrow, 10 a.m. CEST time. And it would probably be in the public meeting room that the workshops are in, and the One Planet, One Nation, One Race for World Peace is in. Let me just put that up again. And here it is. So this is the invitation. We've shared this already earlier. Again, join us live tomorrow, July 18th. Emergence of the new technology and so on.
What we will ask tomorrow in these meetings is to simultaneous joining of the knowledge seekers into what we haven't done before, bringing in governments from different angles. This is a campaign to bring the change through technology. And there are two options, and that option has to stand, especially we'll leave it to come up on tomorrow. And once it's seen, when it's done, then we can step it up to the next stage and thereon. But primarily tomorrow is to show the plasma enhancement unit. And then on Thursday, we go into gas and energy. But major operation is change of a lot of things. If any of you has any notion of understanding what is to come in the West in the months to come, is very much far from what is going to hit us. Americans supply the grain into Western Europe. And what happened when we don't get the energy and Americans don't supply the grain? And then we'll see how everything will be controlled. We have to be prepared for it and be getting prepared for it. But governments don't have that time.
Mr. Keshe, this is Yvonne. Would it be possible to set up some sort of cooperative to perhaps lease out units to disadvantaged people or groups?
We have put a special package to a couple of organizations or wealthy people who say they will do such a thing. Because it is a way the systems work. The package we've done works for, but it's getting done in a very rapid way. It's not a matter of we'll find it. You need people with the finance who can put it in and then structure it very rapidly within a week, 2 weeks. We don't have time. After September, there is no time.
I was thinking perhaps of somewhere like sort of sports halls or something like that where people could go for the day to spend and at least be warm, and perhaps there could be some form of virus eradication also for the building. At least you would get the people together in a group and you could.
These things need to be financed. This is what we are looking at. And it needs heavy financing.
I can see a lot of people sitting at home, cold, lonely, and
we had it last year with the corona. The
yes,
only
it's
difference
going to
with
be
corona
worse.
this year is going to be worse with the energy crisis.
It's going to be worse with the energy crisis
Yeah,
and
yeah,
with
yeah.
people
You come from
unable
English
to buy
background.
food.
You come from English background. You know how old people live in the winter in England, huh?
And I know a lot die.
A lot die. Blankets on top of blankets and everything else. But this doesn't need to come.
That's why I'm suggesting the sports halls,
it has to be done with government.
church halls, anywhere that is large enough to accommodate people.
That will, it's like, I said to somebody very recently, give us a certain figure, we deliver certain things. And the only thing they ask is what's in it for us. We are developing the technology very rapidly, but now it's not the delivery anymore. It's actually getting it out to people. I see it two ways, and I explained this to German politicians in past few days. There will be collapse of industries, reduction by maybe 3 to 8% in Western growth, if it goes that way. Because a lot of industries, when they collapse, they will not build up. We've seen it this year. One of the biggest problems, like in Austria, is to find waiters, waitresses, people working in hotels and restaurants. Because of the corona, a lot left, a lot of chefs and a lot of others, and now they can't find back anybody. Now the government of Austria is paying people to become waiters. And they pay their wages because then the restaurants don't have to pay. And when the industry goes that way, when we lose offices and structures, it's hard to bring back. We see a shrinkage of maybe 5 to 8%. If this thing goes through, maybe as much as some forecasts is about 15%. And what's going to happen to it? The way is we take a share of the GDP considered to be disappearing. And the other alternative is that we agree with the Western governments, if it comes to that point, which we don't think so, that the technology is taught on mass media. We don't have enough time to produce enough system to compensate for what is going to happen. The only way to it is mass teaching. The way we taught you to use the magraphs, and you all went the wrong way with it, but this time we go the right way. We teach publicly on television, radios, and show how people to make food with it, how to make energy with it, how to do what. And then that comes as part of the costs. It's good to do this, but you have to understand, then governments lose revenue. The biggest problem, you see governments wanting that they don't want unrest, but the way the government look at it, by introducing a technology like ours or the others to bring free heating, you can have for yourself, you can bring energies to feed you, you can bring systems that replaces the fuel. Everybody, they're looking for a solution. But a comprehensive solution like what we offer is not acceptable, because fuel brings taxes, food brings taxes, and other things bring taxes.
I joined the meeting somewhat late, so I don't know what you discussed beforehand, but
No,
you
we
were
didn't discuss anything.
going into a meeting last Thursday. Were the results positive?
We do not know yet. This is why we pushed ahead with the presentation of tomorrow and Thursday.
Have those who were at the meeting been invited?
More or less, yes. A lot of people are invited. We have informed a lot of people, but the position is not the invitation. The position is, once we show it, what is going to trigger. And we deliberately chose Tehran to be the first point. We could have done Austria and then Tehran. We done it Tehran for a specific reason. Tomorrow we'll set up a very specific way of working with knowledge seekers. Try to get as many people as possible online, because there is a purpose to it.
Thank you, Mr. Keshe. But I hope you realize in this time coming, it will be the young and the old who will be the ones who suffer the most.
Everybody will suffer. Everyone. But we don't know, because the situation is, in Tehran, the fuel has turned, the food has turned up to be 10 times more than about a year ago. The prices. In other countries is more or less the same. In Middle East is the same. In Europe is the same. And I was talking to people in America. They said they were buying a pack of eggs for $1.99. Now it's $4.99 in past 2 or 3 months. We're all in it, but we'll see.
Well, thank you, Mr. Keshe.
You're welcome. We're just working, everybody's working to what we say we can bring. But tomorrow, yes.
So, Keshe, have you thought of the limit you have on Zoom for up to 200 participants?
We have, I think, 500 limits, but the Zoom is not our only channel. You're on the YouTube. There's a live stream. And on the YouTube channels you can pick up. And I think is you have the live stream, you have the Zoom. YouTube has no limitation. We can rapidly increase numbers, but you have to understand the way it's worked with the Keshe Foundation is a secondary and third links which they work. There are a few thousand people who are linked to us, and from their link they supply the information to the other links, and it goes to the other links. Like when you look at the like BRICS, Rick is connected to the Keshe Foundation, but in his own side there are hundreds of people who go directly to him to listen to his side link, even though they can go to the Keshe Foundation direct. And there are many, many like this. our main target tomorrow is German government and the French and Italian government. And we have to show what it is, because the implication of what it is will be explained in the very detail tomorrow. And the reason is, when we start the first test with the system, it takes an hour to build up the system and then shows the difference. And then this is the basis of the system with the enhancement unit, we said. And then comes the delivery of the gases, conversion of the fields to gases, which is the next step. Tomorrow, hopefully, we should be able to show at least one conversion of one gas, maybe two, and then Thursday is the same. If we look at it, how strategically you can change an area, in like what Yvonne said, we can do in one area, or people go to one stadium, whatever. If we come to one knowledge seeker or one group of knowledge seekers who can go through, we reckon it's about 40 units of the 42 units, 45 units of the new plasma units, which this is 45 houses. And you place this 45 in an area of, let's say, 200 to 400 houses, which is 1 in 4 or 1 in 8. Then the whole of 1 in 8 will be covered, or 1 in 4. So 200 houses will receive energy. So if you look at it, it becomes €1,000 for each area, for each house. And that will extend over 6 months to double coverage. So with, let's say, 100 people you help, now you help 1,000 people with energy, with the what do you call it, with the electricity.
Yeah, my question is, I was thinking of buying several units. We have some apartments that are houses, little houses that are spread around town, and if we could put a unit in each, then we could cover the town.
Can I talk to you? You've been supporting us solidly, and I appreciate it. How many houses can you support in area?
Well, we have 7, and they're spread out. Or actually, if we include other family members, there's other houses. So
You're in the United States.
Yes.
You're in the
And
United States.
and my sister's in Germany, and but I was thinking, even, you know, I purchased the enhancement unit, the big egg.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I don't have to have that. I can do that,
But
I don't know if that's money can be applied to something else.
no, because
Or
those
stuff.
enhancement units already been allocated, materials have been bought. We bought for 100 eggs, as you call it. In advance, we have paid for materials and everything. There's about 600,000 plus euro of material sitting in Canada for the enhancement units. We have spread it. The goods have been bought and paid for. We go very straight with everything. If we can have, because this discussion has been going on, with other groups, and they're working on it, and we know by next few days. If we could have €250,000, which is $250,000, there's 1-to-1 parity, we can provide roughly 100 units. And this 100 units has to be spread in an area which can cover up to 10,000 people, or we say about 4,000 houses. We have people who have these kind of facilities available. And it's a matter of becoming a generator by the public for the public. You will see tomorrow in demonstration with enhancement unit. Usually the standard unit which we have will come off within, let's say, an hour, most probably less or more. And the other unit will carry on with the battery for about 2 times or 3 times, sometimes more. If you this apply to a city, so instead of going back to generation, if you were supplying 100,000 houses, now you can supply 500,000 houses. It'll bring a back-to-back increase. And there are a number of people in 2 or 3 different locations who are looking and will do such a position.
Yeah, I don't have quite 250,000 available.
I know, but I'm not talking about you, we're talking about what is going on.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
understand?
Mhm.
This is people to be able to do. We are looking at a lot of different options, how we can maximize help. Because now we are in production, we are not going to whatever. If people put these things together, it can be done, but it's got to be done collectively.
Mhm.
It's got to be done collectively. If you have 7 houses, depends on the location, you need at least, it depends what the population in which area you are, to cover it. Because one backgraph system energy has to reach the other one to create the link.
Okay, how far apart can they be?
We estimate about 1 kilometer to 2 kilometers.
Okay. That
But
could be done.
so we're looking, we have, for us to be able to mass purchase materials and to do, we can do this type of things. And the prices, since we started, even the new system has doubled. But if 2 or 3 knowledge seekers can put together, it has to be, for us to be able to do it the right way, has to be around about, at the moment, about 50 units. And then
Each unit is 5,000?
Pardon?
Each unit
No.
is 5,000?
We need to do, yes, but it breaks down. It can break down because we want to push it in. If we do like 2 lots of 50, which is 100 unit, where we pre-order everything, has to be bought, everything else behind it, the foundation has brought the price down to 2,500. But then there is more or less a lot of things needs to be arranged for it to be done and everything else.
Mr. Keshe, are you talking about some kind of mesh like network? If you have
Yes.
okay.
Yes, because Swiss are using this way with the Keshe Foundation knowledge seekers.
I have an idea how that could be done. If you have like different streets, every individual is in different streets, and then depending on how
you see, that doesn't work that way. It does not work that way in a way it works with the spread of the fields in a circle. If you understand what I'm talking about. The field, the new design technology is what will bring fields into operation. So in a way, we have to place a receiver at the house which receives the energy for it to convert. I said to the same to guy who's negotiating with us, at 300 units, he could cover a small town. Because then the system, pardon?
Sorry, could it be put on something mobile and just sent around in areas?
No, it cannot. It has to be part of the link system of power generation.
Okay.
At the moment. If any of you can do and then split it in different ways, we can help you to set it up. But the minimum structure is $250,000.
And who would I contact about this to work out any kind of details?
With me.
Okay, how do I contact you?
If you go on American Keshe Foundation Knowledge, my name is there, send me a private message. I can do it tonight because we are working on it with 2 other people. Okay. It allows us to do very rapidly. We can always, my purpose with this gas or energy is to release as fast as possible that government cannot discover it. And they will go to do it. But if it's a spread, nobody can touch it.
Yeah, and so how would we deal with animosity from energy companies, or do we have to deal with that?
That is not the problem. They will not even know what hit them.
Yeah.
That's not there. If you go on the Keshe Foundation, America, you see my name. Just send me a private message. I'll respond to you immediately. Because we're closing this in the next few days completely. We have to. As I said, even with the gas units, people are paying over 2,000 euros. Some people even did double and triple. That's minimum we put as a donation. We don't give it it's not yours. You're a trustee to hold it. The condition of the gas units is not sold. You're a trustee. That in case anything happens, you release the energy, you release the process, we talk to you, that they cannot discover their technology. This is deliberately done this way. And one of the reasons we show the technology first in Iran to show nobody can touch it in Europe. It's not like last time they walk into the Keshe Foundation and get all the radiation sources, which was going to show the flight in a second, say goodbye. No, we show in Iran we are safe, and then the West has to cope with what we show on Thursday.
Okay, now another question. If I would see, I'm spending my retirement money and my inheritance, and then if it's all gone, then it's all gone. Okay, so is this also as a trustee, or is it a donation, or
no? If you take the power units are a purchase. Plasma
Okay.
power units are purchased. The gas units are, what do you call it, trustee. Because the biggest problem is the energy people, energy with gas. If we can overcome that, will I assure you within next year, gas will be at 30 cents anywhere in the world. And that's our target. With the enhancement units, plasma is a purchase, this will be delivered, manufactured, delivered. You see the work of it tomorrow. This is why we went public. We've never done this before. You're coming directly into laboratories of the Keshe Foundation. And if we receive $250,000, we do a plan. We sit down with you, sort it out, and district it. You can give it to neighbors or whatever, and tell them to pay us for the very receive reduction in fuel or bill. And you see tomorrow with the battery, it runs 3 times over. When you connect it to the main, it comes down to as much as 80% reduction.
Yeah.
Summertime.
Mhm.
Pardon?
So I shouldn't go to the city and ask them and tell them about it.
You just give it to the people, and that's it. This is what I call how it returns back itself.
Okay.
And this is what we do. And we can very rapidly, this is part of the plan for the peace talks with Iran and US. That's why we encourage the Americans to participate more than the Europeans. 28th of July, negotiations start. And we said by the end of July, the first units will leave Tehran. If you can do it, send me a message on the private. You're very open about it. I'll talk to you straight away. And we can set it up. It needs to be done. It needs to be done.
Mr. Keshe, is there any way that President Putin would lighten his foot on the brake, let's say, or is he in a roundabout way actually helping, unbeknownst to us, to actually implement this technology? Or is he keeping it locked because any fuels would be used in the war machine to actually attack Russia? This is some of the thoughts that
I don't get involved, but we know what the plan is.
Okay.
We can see. So we don't want to get involved in that part, especially how the, what do you call it, the Russians or the other ones. You got to understand, if we go to fight or do something against what they do, we take a lot of energy, and then you have to preempt what's going to be next step. And I don't work that way. We're delivering a new technology. It's here, that's it, voila. You have to take it. You understand? Give me, I have to go out into, give me about 5 minutes. I'll stay online, but I have to go on the other line. Yeah, and I'll come back in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm just going to step away for 1 minute while I have a chance while he's on the other line. Alex?
Hi there.
Can you handle this for a moment?
Sure. I'm just going to take over the screen.
Sure. He's only going to be gone for a few minutes, so I'm just going to be right back myself. Okay, we see your screen.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the situation has gone to a critical point, and then one of the things that we discussed in a roundabout way has been the business of environmental refugees. So the point is this is not the first time that this has been attempted. The most significant point that I'm aware of was 1968. And the whole matter was resolved with a bombing attack. The second time was 1988 at the G7 meeting in Norway, and that also crashed and burned in 1992 in Rio. So what we have is a situation where the technology has been around for a long time, but what we have now is an opportunity to release a technology in an entirely different way, far more advanced, and the fundamental criteria always has been the implementation of peace. Because right now, when we talk about a purpose, it isn't a financial opportunity. This is an existential crisis, and that includes our fellow man. And so you have to look at the whole picture, extend the schemes. So we are at this tipping point.
Sorry, I'm back. What is important, as following what you've been saying, Alex, it's the first time we as human race, as whatever you call it, have the opportunity to change it, not for us as well the others, but in a peaceful way, in a very scientific way. And this is the way I look at it and the way it actually sits. And we got to do it. We have no choice. We come so far. We share the knowledge with the governments. I remember, as I said, when I announced I gave the keys to the governments, how many people went against me. And we waited 2 years. Government did nothing. When we released it to public, a lot of people start doing things, but they not much has been done if you look at it since we released technology to the hand of the public. But the governments have strengthened on back of it. A lot of technology has been developed by governments because of it. And they sit on the sidelines seeing what we do, and they just take the best part of it. But this time we changed the position. The flight enhancement unit, which is now going in Austria, the release of the plasma units. On Thursday, for the first time, we'll show you the perpetual structure of the perpetual power supply, which has been the dream of the man. Is not something is gonna be, it's been built. We're testing of it. We're running a test on it to see how far we can go. And the beauty of it is not 1, 2, or 10 kilowatts, it's a demand kilowatt. If you have 3 kilowatt demand in the house, you'll meet your demand. But you don't use 3 kilowatts all the time. You use maybe 200-300 during the day, small peaks to 2-3 kilowatts during the afternoon or cooking time. And this is the beauty of this new generator which is coming in. And then, as we said, but with what we put in, will create that condition. And this time is many of us in it. This time cannot be scuppered. This is why, as I said, we showed in Iran first. Come and catch me. We showed it to the Americans, now we show it to the world. Many of you sat, tried, made the magraves, made the systems, and you said it doesn't work. I'll show you. And I said before, when I make it, when it's made on my way, and I put my name into it, it works. We gave it to the Italians. And I always said, I let people to develop things. They have to and see what happens with it. This, where we are now, has to be done. It has to be done. We have no choice. This winter, with Corona, what they're talking about, bringing back the lockdowns, bringing back the mask wearing, bringing back the injections again. How many more people are going to die? Your electricity bill goes up. A lot of old people shut down the electricity to keep because they can't afford it. Price of food goes up, they can't afford it. And then the next step, they can't afford it. And that's one way. Coffin is the next step. It happens, as Yvonne said, in England regularly. Tens of thousands of people die from cold in UK because they can't afford to pay the heating. But the next step for us, as I said in teaching, is releasing the food chain with the what we call these energy enhancement units. So you cover the food and the energy together in a given environment. You got to understand, if we establish a place like this with, let's say, 100 units, and then in the very near future, because our people are working on it, we release the food with it. Can you imagine how people will touring, coming from everywhere to tour around your area to feed themselves and go home? Because when you go to this area, you don't feel hungry. When you go to this location, you don't feel cold. This is why we want to do this 50 and 100 units. As 100 units, as $250,000, we have a bigger plan for it. It's part of setting up the First Nation. But we have to show it can be done.
So, Mr. Keshe, you said you just come into an area and you'd feel warm. I know my sister had an electric house and she's always regretted it because of the fact that oil and gas always seem to be, for the most part, less expensive. They even upgraded, but electricity and pulling energy from or tap into the universal energy, we're not mining any oil. We don't have to process it. Electric way to go. I mean, it is matter state and everything else, but that would seem to be, again,
You see, it is not electric. It's a combination of the matter and the plasma. This is the beauty with the new system. We even tried it now in the enhancement units. People who go in, we set the system in a way, we are testing. We don't talk, and we invite them back and we ask them, how did you feel? And how is your feeling? They tell you they're not eating as much as before. There is no hunger. That's 3 weeks later, we're getting them back. So there must be a way which we have deliberately made part of our systems which can compensate for the energy, or triggers part of our body, which is the correct way of it, to absorb energy from your body. It's not that you don't eat, you're not doing anything. When you don't eat in this way, it means your body starts absorbing from its environment. That's all it is. That's all we do. We trigger what is missing, or we trigger what it needs to be connected. It's not magic. As I said, everything we do is scientific. And once it's scientific and you make a system which can confirm it, it's become a technology. And once it's technology, it can be replicated.
It's not only the West which is going to feel these things. There are countries in Africa and the Middle East that are going to suffer as well. Are there people in place there who will do something?
What do you mean?
Well, countries like Syria, countries like a lot of those countries in Africa, which rely on grain and imports of fuel. If fuel is priced so expensively, they're going to suffer. Whatever industry that they have will suffer.
You said
It's not just.
you live in what I call Egypt,
Yes.
and we've seen what has happened to the shortage of grain from, what do you call it? Ukraine situation has brought this down to all the North African and most of the East Asia.
This is what I'm saying. So it's not just Europe and the States. It's more global.
It is global, so we have to find an answer. The way I see it, in a way that the Keshe Foundation is set up, is
one of the reasons why I hope that satellites would be able to be used.
Is to go mass teaching the way we do in Keshe Foundation campus site. To go mass teaching how to make things, how to follow things and make systems and the rest of it. Excuse me, can I speak to Ingrid Kelly? I'll send you a private message on Telegram. If you read it, please, and respond back to it.
Could you say the name again, Mr. Keshe? It wasn't clear, at least to me.
Imgrid, we were talking about.
Okay, yes.
Irmgard, you mean?
Irmgard, yes.
Imgard. If you read the message, I send you a private message on Telegram and contact me through Telegram. We can respond. The problem is we have given our patent free. We have opened the patent. The only thing government needs to do is to show how things are done according to the application of the patent. Public teaching on televisions or radios or whatever. It will solve the problem for everything. But would the government lose control? It's not that something hidden. It's just that you got to be told how to use things.
in a very direct and simple way. Because not everybody can grasp it so easily.
It is so easy. This is the problem.
It's easy to you. It's easy to you.
There's
But
keys, I think, that haven't been fully shared, as you told
You
John,
see,
Mr. Keshe.
we have to understand which part of the technology is applicable to you. I always say, if I give you a car, or if you have a car, do you live, eat all the time in your car? Or do you use the car when you need it? You learned driving and you took a license 30 years ago. Do you jump from one car to another car to another car? Do you go to toilets with a car, or do you go to your bedroom in a car? You use the car when you need it. So is this knowledge. Everyone has to understand the knowledge, has to be given the knowledge. They use it for what they need it when they need it. But this knowledge goes from food to energy to material to whatever. So you should be able to learn to transit through it from one to another. And when you need the transportation of it, use the soul part. You need the food side of it, use the other part. You need the water to enjoy, use the other part. We haven't released the knowledge, which is going to be done most probably next week or next couple of weeks. Is the biggest problem in the most of the countries around the world is water shortage. We're going to release the water supply system. Anything which has a problem, we're going to put a solution and show it. And this is how we have to handle it, but we have to bring the governments to do it with us. We have one smallest nation in Europe has taken the whole world to ransom with lying and court case. The first thing they do, oh, he is a fraud. Now you're defrauded yourself. Now you're getting thousands of people dying because of riots and the rest of it. Who won? The crooks. The biggest damage done is by them to themselves. Do you care if your child is dying and there's no solution for it? You come to Keshe Foundation, within hours, going through the system of the flight system, the child survives.
you've had a case like that?
Many times.
Recently? Because I know you've got a wealth of information stored from all of the cases that you've had, but it's not to be found anywhere.
The wealth of information I have because I created it. When I make a system and it works, it means I already have the knowledge, otherwise I can't make the system. You understand?
Yes, but that knowledge is needed for so many doctors who need to think in a different way.
We are doing it, we are not sharing it because of the stupidity of a bunch of pedophiles. The West is paying for, if we have a license from naturopathic that we can produce the machines. If the West wouldn't have played the game, the whole thing would have been different way. But maybe it's a good reason for it.
Well, I hope in the future you make all of this information available so that the doctors can be fully trained in what to do to help people with the systems which are coming in.
Uh, the whole principle is we need to deliver a technology which can benefit everyone. We see the Brazilians are here. The technology is used in Amazon. We have people from Africa, they use in Africa. Then we got people from Australia, we have people from Far East, we have people from Middle East, we have from North America. If you look at 50 people here, we at least represent 30 countries. We talk about the same knowledge and we all enjoy it. What is it? Because I decided knowledge has to be free with everyone. If I would have locked it up, patented it, and put lawyers to it, made billions from it, very few of you would have known. It would have been shelved everywhere. So there is a way, there is the only way is to share the knowledge openly. And who's suffering because of these things? Themselves. Look at the Merkel, the ex-chancellor of Germany. We can get that situation sorted within hours, within days. By accepting what they've accepted, they are suffering themselves. Same is with many leaders, many politicians are in the same problem. They're all human, they all got diseases, they all got problems. But how do you handle it? One, the smallest nation in Europe has taken the humanity to ransom. One small nation. Two, Peter King and his son. Has taken 7 billion to ransom.
How can we activate the technology? The
We left
easiest way.
it to you. We left it to the governments. They didn't do it. We left it to you for 6-7 years. You haven't managed to do it. Now we take in charge. We do it. That's why we're putting the enhancement unit with our control. That's why we put the new gas production with our control. That's why we put a new flight system with our control. We take in charge.
People don't know they have the technology within their body, right?
The technology is not in the body. The technology has to be that everybody can share. We live in two states of matter, the energy or the soul and physicality. At the moment, we have to sort out the problem with the physicality and with what is happening in the direction of so-called travel and the rest of it. My problem is not one, my problem is two. To bring the theology and the religion into order, bring the science into order, and somewhere the two have to meet, that they work together. And this is where we have started now. Because we finished with the teaching of the material side 2-3 years ago. We started the soul side, we finished with it. Now we are putting a system that puts everything together. When you understand one, you go for the other one. And this is a phase now in past few weeks we have entered. And you can see, and you've seen how effectively we start implementing, delivering. Everybody says, oh, everything foundation does. But if you look at what is in the flight system is a combination of the soul and physicality together. And you see more and more and more of technology which brings it and people can use it, and then we go to the next step. The technology is not just a magrab. Technology is not just agriculture. Technology is not just whatever. It's a combination of life. And we have shown it works. As I said in the teaching on Thursday, we used to have 3 chairs. We wanted to show we can control physicality. We put you in the chair number 1. We wanted to see we have understood that we can control the soul of physicality. People were telling us exactly what we wanted to hear. And we put the 3rd seat of the soul. And for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we ran it to confirm with 70, 60 people going through it is correct. And what did they do? We took a week off. We closed for a week. We replaced one system. And last week we brought people in. We took the 3 chairs away. You go in. We put the 3 systems together. And voila, people walk in. We got you. Exactly where you want to be, not where we want you to be. As I said before, we had a young guy in mid-30s, came in, said, I don't want to fly, I just want to see my grandmother. He's written there, he didn't tell us. He went in, he came out, he said, thank you very much. I wanted to feel my grandmother after so many years, and I did. I didn't come here to fly. This is how it should be. We deliver what is there for you at that time. He says, I'll come on 26, 27, then I decide for that one, and I know I'm going to get it. This is how it should be for all of us.
We need to improve our love for everything and respect for everything.
Yeah, but at the moment is we got to deliver the technology before we hit crisis. And the crisis is not the lack of oil, it's not lack of gas, it's not. The crisis is for us, the way we live and how we can change it.
Yes, that is the problem.
That's how we got, that's what the whole system is. This is what is amazing when we open the enhancement simulation. How many people come? Must be more than 50%. They don't come to fly. We have no interest. We come here for different things. And in last week, if somebody came and says, I came here for something else, but I didn't get it. I said, come back in. I put them straight away in the machine. And they come and says, we got it. Why couldn't we? Because we did not know, we did not structure the system for you to go that way. Now you want to go, voila, straight on. And that's how it should be. And whatever we are doing, as I said, is nothing new. We came up with something new. It's in the patent. And if you go to patent, we are delivering whatever is in patent section 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, one by one has been taught that way. As I said, we are fulfilling a prophecy. The prophecy is the patent. We prophesied the things can be done with this technology, and now we are delivering it.
So, Mr. Keshe, the big dilemma for the governments is to open up the public airwaves. Is that their big dilemma? Either one or all of them together is to open up this to the public and let it flow?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what is holding back. And can they believe that they can hold on to it? This is the other problem. Holding on to power. How many governments now are in limbo in Europe? Many. They don't have it. So French is running into a problem, Germans are in there, and British found a way to, for a time, British way to solve the Prime Minister way, but it's underneath a with bigger problem. Italians are again back in the parliament trying to get the vote of confidence, which they thought they got it, but the other one is not supporting it, and half a limbo. Everything else is in a mess. The same right across Western Europe, in Africa and the rest. The best thing which happened with us was the Ukrainian war. It brought the governments and the people head on to find a long-term solution or a new way. And we should be able to do it. Keshe Foundation should be able to deliver the technology to bring that change, and now it's time for it. And we thought enough, you didn't, what do you call it? You did not understand. And as I said, very simple. The difference, you will see it on tomorrow, more or less. What is and what it can be, and how it is and how it has been, and how we sat with people, and what we shared with you. How long I've been telling you and I've been showing you, you can do 50%, you can do 80%. And everybody said, you know, how come it works? It does exactly what it's got to do. And what it was said to be done, it can do. This is one, and this is two. And this is an hour later, 2 hours later. How come none of you been doing it? How come there was a Keshe Foundation Nagrab doesn't work? How come when we do it, it works? And now we demonstrate it. As we say in British, the proof of pudding is in eating it. Now we can eat it.
As you've often said, I put it right in front of your nose and we couldn't see it. So, and we've heard so many times how easy this is, how simple it is. But I don't get it.
See this tomorrow. And especially put it on a table like this, that there is no ambiguity, nothing is hidden.
Well, this has been a beautiful primer for tomorrow's event. Thank you very much.
This is sitting there, it's part of our work. And what I always said, how come when we do it, we set out to show it, it shows and it works. And we brought, as I say, in bracket, our enemies for Americans to confirm it's correct. Anyway, I'll leave it with you, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. And we show these things live, and then we'll see what will be the next. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keshe.
Yes.
Thank
Thank
you
you
indeed.
for coming in.
Hopefully see you tomorrow.
Oh, definitely. We're going to be joining early and often.